Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of those videos that I mentioned in the weekly assignment. This is on bounded rationality, the fundamental idea that consumers don't always make rational decisions, and it's partly because they can't. That is, within certain boundaries, they do make rational decisions. This is about those boundaries and what kind of logic might take place inside those limits. So first we're going to define bounded rationality. We're going to look at the things that influence the boundaries on consumer decisions, a brief list, some examples of consumer decisions and bounded rationality, and then a little bit of a conclusion and some suggestions on what to do with the assignment. So first, here's the definition. Bounded rationality is the idea that the logic of a decision is limited by the information available to the decision maker, the time available for making the decision, and the state and nature of the decision maker's mind. Let's look at those things in a very brief way. The sellers may not share information. That is, they may not tell you everything you want to know about the product you're buying. Think in terms of purchasing a used car. The seller may know a whole lot about the car and the buyer may not know a whole lot about the car. It's a classic example in economics. The seller may know that it has been very well maintained and all of the records are up to date and everything is perfect. Or they may know that there's a flaw in the car and they're going to try to sell it anyway. The buyer doesn't know which way this is, so they're likely to assume that the car is not in as good a shape as perhaps it is. So they don't know. Another information limit, of course, is they may not understand the available information. If a doctor spoke to you in highly technical language about a surgical procedure or the chemical effects of a drug, you might not understand it. That is, there's definitely an information imbalance in a lot of markets. The information that you need for the decision you want to make may not be available. In particular, a lot of times we're making decisions now about how something or someone will perform in the future. So the past may not, in fact, be prologue. It may not predict what happens next. It may be that a surgeon has 100 consecutive successful surgeries. That doesn't necessarily mean that you, as the 101st, are going to be a successful patient. You may not have access to the key information. Those are all limits on the information that you can use to make your decision. External pressures, time limits, may limit how much time you have to make a decision. The store may be about to close. The restaurant may be about to shut down. You may have pressure from children to buy or not buy something. There may be other people influencing what you have to say. Internal pressures, i.e. you may get impatient with the process yourself. It may be something where you've already worn yourself out and you just want this over, for example. There are cognitive limits. You have a biased view of the available information. That is, we've talked a little bit about confirmation bias in class, and that simply means you want to look at information that makes you feel like what you already know or are sure is right is in fact right. Your inability to understand that available information. Again, that relates back to, well, there's too much stuff there. The biases that simply exist in our brain, we've looked at that big cloud of potential biases and the codex of biases that's available on Wikipedia. So those things are likely to influence your decision making. as is your state of mind. Are you mad? Are you sad? Are you tired? Are you intoxicated? Are you happy? Are you in an excited or in a calm state? Hot or cold state, as some of the people related to this are likely to talk about it. So, here are some of the ways, and this is just touching on a list of a few things that people use to deal with the fact that the boundaries are there. So we're going to use some shortcuts and use some things that help us deal with the boundaries. Brand loyalty. This is often a learned bias, i.e. I bought Nike shoes, I like Nike shoes, I run well in them, or some other brand name. I had a good experience with it, so in the future when I'm buying running shoes, I buy Nike. Or in my case, I buy On the Cloud or Salomon or Hoka or whatever it is I'm picking. For that brand and for similar products in the future, I pick that brand because I had a good experience with it in the past. Deferring choice. I might decide that I really don't have enough information to make a good decision and that later I will have, so I simply don't choose. I also choose based on other information. I can't know which item performs the best, so I choose the item that looks the best. That might work in a number of cases, but we'll talk about later. And that we're influenced by choice architecture, which is a way of leading into the next video that I intend to post on this. The way information is presented pushes you toward a specific decision, and you decide to go ahead and let that architecture influence your decision and go with it. So those are just a few things. Think about these and other ways in which people cannot have all of the information available to them and how they might deal with that in the industries that you have chosen. Information imbalances in medical, it's very common in medical markets. Doctors, I hope, know more about medical procedures than you do. They know more about the pharmaceuticals. They know more about the surgical procedures. They know more about treatment. At least I hope so. If your doctor doesn't know more than you do, either you are a doctor or you need a different doctor. Product complexity. I don't know how to pick the best cell phone. I don't know the technical aspects of a cell phone. I don't know the technical differences between one model of Samsung and another most of the time. The products are complex. I know how to use those things for what I want to do with them. Send text messages, look at my Facebook page and so on. But which phone is the best? Well, technically I have no way of judging that because it's not in my, I don't know. And I don't know enough. So we end up using brand. I have an iPhone. Probably the next phone I get will be an iPhone, which is, brand loyalty being a solution here. Exhaustion. We've shopped for 3 weeks. We're looking for a new car. We're looking for a new television. Now we're tired. We're going to pull the trigger. We're going to make a choice. Simply because we understand we've reached our limit. Availability. You can't get that here, whatever that happens to be. We've dealt with that in the past with things like vegan meals, for example, just as one of the things that might appear there. So this is basically what we're looking for. So as you look at your industries, think in terms of boundaries like geography, i.e. there are only so many golf courses or so many stores or there are so many restaurants available in a particular area. There are only so many types because of where someone's making the choice. There are all kinds of time limitations that might restrict the kinds of choices that you make. So remember that we're looking at those 3 things. The idea that there's a time limit, that there's an information limit, and that there's a cognitive limit, i.e., how much our brains can handle. At any rate, thank you for your attention, and I'll be posting another one of these in the next few hours or tomorrow. Again, stay safe and well.